Dun 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 dun. That Harrison Ford's special theme music. It must be cool to have like a theme play when you walk into a room. You know what I mean? I like that Darth Vader. Dun 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 dun. Makes you feel like even more of a badass when you walk into a room and people cower in fear. Dun, So I wonder about past lives. I've often thought and wondered and thought, and you know, I'm a big believer in it. Past life, future life, all that kinds of stuff, right? It's a cycle, But in this particular show, we're going to talk about kids who remember their past lives and who have led investigators to locations, have named names, and even said who they were married to and whatever, which is very interesting stuff. Science tries to explain it, but they fail. They always fail when it comes to that stuff. Can science even explain anything? They can't cure anything. You know, they just gotta roll along. They can't explain a goddamn thing. So it's more about you yourself and your own personal knowledge of the universe, right? So, but let's see. And there are doctors like Jim Tucker who has encountered these cases. He said one of the most notable is perhaps the story of James Lingyear. Soon after his second birthday, James started having horrible nightmares about a fatal airplane crash. When his parents asked him about these terrors, he told them he was a pilot whose plane had been shot down. He offered striking details, like the name of the aircraft carrier and the first and last of the friend who shipped with him. So, before I even continue, a 2-year old, little kid, they're gonna know all this stuff, man. And there's a reason why it happens when those young early ages is because those memories are still fresh inside your soul. Something happens where your one body goes, that spirit ends up coming back with a new mom, sometimes the same mom, from what I understand. And then you're off. Then you continue on. I mean, I myself had dreams like this uh, until I was about 6 or 7 years old. And I'll tell you, it wasn't just dreams. I would even be like seeing these images in my mind, or close my eyes and see this like fire, like an intense fire, and like all this military stuff. And I had felt that I had gotten shot like diagonally across my body, like literally from shoulder down to the hip. And these images and dreams continued. I didn't say anything, didn't tell my mom. It was, and more so, you know what? It wasn't just the image; it was the feeling, that raw feeling of dismal death. It was the feeling of death, of ending, just a horrible, terrible feeling, right? That was just me. And around 7 years old, somewhere around there, I stopped having those images. Stopped. It wasn't something I even thought about to that point, right? So, okay, this dude's parents, much to his parents' surprise, James' statement had some uncanny similarities to a pilot named James Huston, who had died during World War II, nearly 50 years before James Lingier was born. In other words, it seems little boy James had experienced memories of a past life. Right? So you may understandably have a lot of questions in your mind: how, what, when, where, how does it happen? Ooh, do all children have past lives? Why do they happen? How can you tell if it's a real memory versus a fantasy? So, but this doctor went and started doing research. So the average age when a child starts talking about their past life is 35 months. So usually it's around their third birthday, says Tucker. As they gain better verbal skills, they might discuss events that happened in their past lives or their previous family with their previous family members. 75% of them will talk about how they died in their last life. So in those cases, 70% of them are through some sort of unnatural means, murder, suicide, combat accidents, right? Combat accidents or combat, right? I mean, accidents. From those statistics, we can infer that a child is more likely to have a past life memory if it's associated with some sort of trauma from their previous life. Uh, Tucker notes that a child will typically reveal past life details when they feel safe or relaxed. The child has to be in the right frame of mind to talk about these things. It's usually during relaxed times, sometimes after a bath, during a car ride, whatever they're doing, is when they start talking about these things. So with me, I remember the jungle. I remember the explosions. I remember the smell. And you know what's really weird? Even sometimes today, I can get a certain whiff of something that will take me back to that then. So very weird stuff. And I'm not the only one that has experienced this, obviously. So, but they've gotten reports where the person did have a recurring traumatic dream in a childhood. It's difficult to verify those past life memories. But if a child has some kind of traumatic dream dozens of times, it may transcend fantasy and point to an actual memory of a past life. So, like the cases I've read about, and we're going to even talk about some of them. So, but the cases I've read about, these guys were very, very specific. Even what area they used to live in, what the street they lived on, even how they died specifically, and were able to prove it in a lot of senses. So in my case, I was born uh, in September of 1966. You know, Vietnam War had been going on before that, the Korean War. So I mean, those images could be consistent with those events. You know what I mean? So, is it a wild imagination or a past life memory? You're probably thinking that you can tell if a child is recounting a past life memory or if they just have a creative imagination. It would take an awful lot for a 2-year old, 3-year old to really create these things and be specific. But aside from that, what about the ones who kind of just step to it and they know their past, the names and places and dates and these times where things have happened and they looked it up and they found 100% true. So I think you can easily tell fantasy from reality, especially when it comes to certain details. So, but that's a common question, says Dr. Tucker. But the key is to determine whether a child's statements are actually verifiable. What the child describes, how much, does it match somebody who lived and died in the past? The child has to recall the right details. I mean, as the case with Lou Gehrig, that kid, uncanny, you know, and he started telling his mother about like all these images. You see, and actually, like they think they made a movie out of it or whatever. Let's see. Here we go. I gotta read you this one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Lou Gehrig died in 1941. But what if he came back? Kathy Bird believes that her son, Christian Haupt, is a reincarnation spirit of Lou Gehrig. Bird wrote a book, The Boy Who Knew Too Much, laying out the case of why her son batted cleanup behind Babe Ruth. The evidence includes Christian at the age of 2 telling his mom, I used to be a tall baseball player. Is that a toddler just talking nonsense as he experiments with language? Or did he really mean to say, I won the MVP award in 1926? Bird also writes that Christian told her of traveling to hotels by train and recalling a falling out between Ruth and Gehrig. Okay. And she went to a hypnotist on unlocked memories of her own past life of Garrick's mother, which she calls a past life regression. So Christian is 8 now and playing baseball for a travel team. He's also a Dodgers fan, probably because he loved beating the Giants so much in his past life. Is If what the mother says is correct, we can expect Christian's first 40 homer season to come in 16 years. So, but here's just another story. I mean, but this kid, he also said that he died of a disease that was named after him. So it's a very interesting story. You should check it out. But that's one of many, one of many. So let's see. When do these memories go away? Right. So while past life memories are typically associated with experiencing trauma, it usually fades by the time the child turns 6 or 7. It is not like they're permanently scarred, he explains. But if a child doesn't remember their past life after a certain age, there's no need to get them to remember it. After all, these memories tend to crop up if there's some sort of trauma associated with death, which might not be too pleasant for the child to remember. So, why do only some of us remember past lives? It's another common question. Why do we all have past lives? Or some of us just verbalize them. Some of us know we don't say anything. Or do those who remember their past lives actually have them? According to Tucker, there's no evidence that everyone has past lives. Then again, there's no evidence against it either. However, he notes that because there is this trauma associated with past life memories, perhaps an individual is more likely to have one. Uh, they have some kind of unfinished business to tend to, something like that. Though the previous person had died violently or died young, he explains. Another similarity, he said, is that children who have past life memories tend to be very bright and very verbal at a young age. Think about the kids that can play the violin or the piano at 3, 4, or 5 years old, virtuosos. It didn't just happen. I mean, they just hear the piano all of a sudden have that kind of aptitude. There's something inside of them that had that talent and that ability. There's a system to it, learning something. It just doesn't happen. I mean, some people have more natural aptitude than others in certain things, but not when you just come out and boom, you're playing Beethoven, you know. Let's see. So other children might have these past images of past memories. They just may not be the language skills or have the language skills to verbalize them. By the time they get to where they can really verbalize them, the images may have faded. Whereas with these kids, they start talking about it and it kind of firms it up. Yeah, you die a horrible death and that sticks with you, you know. So that transition between death and birth and what happens between the two, obviously your physicality is gone with your body. The physical presence you have, I'm talking about the flesh, meat, and bone of your life is gone, right? What's left is energy. And inside that energy, there's got to be memories because those memories get put into the next host, if you want to call it that. So, so what can past life memories tell us about what happens after death? Dick Sutphin was a guy does past life regressions, all that. Lived in Sedona, Arizona. He just passed away last year. Dick Sutphin. He's one of my first guests that I had on the show. He came on and we talked about past life. Going back into people's past lives, and sometimes people have problems now that they carried over from their past lives, and he was the guy that you go to help try to solve those problems, right? So past life memories can be fascinating, and only a portion of the population actually encounter them. That's not to say that we can't learn from those who do remember their past life, according to Dr. Tucker. His research only strengthens the notion that consciousness transcends our physical being. There you go. It's also interesting to note my love of military items as I was growing up. I mean, as soon as I could, I'd be hanging out in the Army Navy store, buying knives, bayonets, and cool stuff, and I don't know, ammo boxes to put my stuff in, and things like that. I just thought it was really cool, and a lot of my friends weren't really into that at that point. I got them into it because they started seeing some cool stuff, you know. So I'm actually the one who started. This is going to be sound funny to you. And you may not believe me, but I don't care. I'm the one who started the whole camouflage craze in Brooklyn and Queens. I used to hang out in Queens with a bunch of friends, and when you're in a certain group of people who are sort of movers and shakers, and you adopt somebody else's gear or whatever, then the trend goes. It's a trend, right? So I show up wearing this cool camouflage hat, like this Vietnam jungle hat, real cool, floppy brim, and I had a cool camouflage jacket on. Man, it looked good, it looked cool. I was wearing the rest of it was black, and it looked good. And then a lot of my friends saw this, and then they went on. They asked me where I got the stuff from, and then they went to their own Army Navy store, and they got a bunch of stuff, different colors, the winter gear, and things like that. Then it blew up. You had these large manufacturers of clothing noticed the trend, they hit it, and the whole scene blew up. So yeah, you're welcome. All right. All right, so the doctor says I've been convinced that there is more just to the physical world. Consciousness is the core of reality that the physical world grows out of, not the other way around. This makes sense when you think about past life memories. In these cases, consciousness prevails even when the body loses its physical form. The brain died physically, it's gone, it's dust, or it's in a jar somewhere in some lab, and high school students are looking at it or whatever. The consciousness continues on though. So while most of us don't, have the past life memories, these cases indicate that consciousness may very well live on after we die. We are not just physical beings trapped in a random universe for a few decades and then we're gone. Tucker adds, this is a hopeful message for people and the future. So again, when you think about these concepts, of recycling, right? It's a recycling program, and the machine, the energy gets recycled. There's nothing in nature that goes away entirely. Things just become other things. You know what I mean? Even the theory of a black hole, when something enters, when it enters this barrier called the event horizon, right? That's basically where everything is stretched then compacted, pulled like toffee, as a matter of fact. So it's probably not something you'd ever want to physically experience, safe to say. But then what the event horizon does, what they believe it does, what the theory is, that it makes a coded copy of the object. Let's say you sent your grandma's couch, pillows and all, into the event horizon. The couch would come out just like little bits and nuggets of nothing with a heavy gravity, but really, obviously, you wouldn't recognize it as a couch. But the couch itself is recorded in the event horizon. So that to me is pretty amazing. And if you think about all of life, early you're watching television, right? You're listening to the radio. Are you listening to my voice right now? No. You're listening to a computer representation of my voice. You're listening to the bits and pieces of packets of information that flies through the internet around the world. The show's in 181 countries. That's a lot of countries. That's basically most of them. Yeah. So to get there instantaneously, like you're talking about speed of light action, or radio waves also travel at the speed of light, right? You can bend light with gravity. You can bend radio waves. You can stop radio waves. There's things that you can do to manipulate the reality. Right? That's why I think people mess with the Matrix, like this whole thing with the Ukraine. It's just so off the wall, and just even with Trump and the whole like ever since around there. I feel like somebody messed with the matrix. It's just things aren't adding up for any good common sense, man. So anyway, there's a hell of a lot we don't know about past lives, right? And maybe it's not even something that your everyday you think about, you know. And obviously, this is a show that is rooted in the paranormal. And even though I use the paranormal with a very small p, we this is a show based in science. That's the way I look at it. That's how I interpret it. We're based in science, right? And we like to talk about ifs, but also like to look for a tangible answer to why, So check this out, okay? How do you know you have a past life? I'm going to give you four signs. Yeah, you may have had a past life, and I don't say may. Pretty sure that and believe it or not, that's my explanation for homosexuality. Is that like if it's a male and he's homosexual, I think probably in his past life he was a female and carried that over. There's no science to back it up, but it's a damn good assessment of a situation. You know, I think that if it's in your core and you believe that's what you are, that's what you are. You know, so it comes down to that. All right, number one, the old familiar feeling, which isn't a terrible thing. I'm going to add that too. I don't want gay guys coming after me like, ah, 'cause they get crazy these days. I am not your enemy. I just find it to be a plausible answer, to a question asked. You could ask me about the chicken and the egg too, and I also have an answer. You'll have to subscribe to pay per view to hear that one, but I do have an answer, and it's a damn good one. Too. All right, number one, the all familiar feeling. Through past life regression, Dr. Brian Weiss says it's possible to heal and grow your mind, body, and soul, as well as strengthen your present day relationships. He says one of the most common signs of a past life is deja vu, the sensation that you may have met a person before or visited someplace previously. Sometimes this deja vu feeling. See, I'm going to stop there and argue with this point because deja vu is not that. You can have episodes of your past life, but it's not deja vu. Deja vu is the feeling that you've experienced that moment before, not something. Oh yeah, that store was in, the store over there that was in my past or something. Or no, 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 no. Deja vu is that moment. The moment that you're feeling. I have moments of deja vu where I can actually predict what's going to happen next because it comes back to me also like a memory, which is really interesting, you know. So past life regression or past lives, or knowing that your past life is more hitting on things that you have no idea why, or being drawn to something for no good reason, or even meeting somebody that you feel like you've known them all of your life. Like you feel so, it's a level of comfort. You feel so comfortable around them. That's more like that. So let's get on this guy. Okay. And I'll tell you about deja vu. I'm also going to tell you why I believe deja vu exists. I believe that time overlaps itself to make it seamless. It doesn't just go end to end. These are radio waves that are kind of intertwined and overlap. In that overlapping, I think you can definitely get a general sense of the near future, the near past. You can kind of pull it in. So last week on the show, we talked about remote viewing and being able, going to Las Vegas and being able to see numbers or know what cards are going to come out, or what machine's going to hit next, because you have that feeling it's going to happen, and it's beyond just a feeling. you know all right, I'm going to try that one day, man. You know what, I'm going to go to Vegas and I'm going to try some remote viewing and record it. Do a show. They'll kick my ass right out of there, but they don't like people that helps them lose money, right? They'll start having remote viewing classes right there on the sidewalk for free. You know what I mean? Anyway, how about this? Your dreams are so real, it's like you're actually there. Do you have vivid, detailed dreams of yourself in different times and different places? That might be a past life memory emerging. Let's see. Eh, I don't like this. I don't like these examples. They're not really. They're not doing it for me. Not doing it for me. Let's see. We've gone past the kid stuff. You guys probably want to hear more about more about gambling. That seems to be where people are at. People need more money. The gas is high. People need more cash these days. They'll take any kind of thing. But all right, here we go. So the one culture very big in past lives are people from India, East India. So I know this guy AJ, who is he's a friend of mine, and he used to be a producer with IBN 7, and now he's with the BBC in India. And he went to a village where they did kind of an expose, kind of a thing. This village, every couple of families on the block were reincarnated, and they knew who they were, where they were from, and those images didn't go away when they were 7 years old. So, and I said, well, what's the village made out of? What's is it bedrock under there? Is it quartz? What's based on? I was trying to get more of an electrical type of stance, or understanding, I should say, on what, when, how. But you know, as human beings, we're limited in everything, right? In everything, even our choices of music and entertainment, we're so damn limited. At the same time, we can explore. We have the ability to understand more about ourselves and the world around us. Which is why I do this show, and which is why I like to research these subjects, right? But you have to respect other cultures. You have to respect where people say, where they come from, where their heads are at, to really understand the universal language of the paranormal. And so it also connects with quantum physics, which is a very real thing. You know, a couple decades back, you weren't able to talk about quantum physics without being laughed at by some professor. That it doesn't exist, right? When really it comes down to you know exploration, opening up your mind, not having a closed mind. I knew a physicist at Cornell who was she was actually a grad student, and when we start talking about tachyons, one of my favorite subjects to bring up when I have scientists around, just to throw it out there, tachyons. She laughed at me, ha ha ha! No such thing as tachyon, ha ha ha! Really? And then not long after that, I think probably that year, a year later, of course, tachyons, if you don't know what tachyons are, they're a theorized subatomic particle that can travel faster than the speed of light. This way, it penetrates our light and our reality. Not long later, they found neutrinos, which are basically subatomic particles that can travel faster than the speed of light. And these particles blast through our reality right now, all the time, right through your body, right through us. That's part of quantum physics. So there's so many things we don't understand about the world. And it's better to have an open mind and close the book. Because if you close the book, you're never going to understand anything about the universe. The universe obviously is a lot bigger than our understanding. But we definitely like to talk about these things here. So, how about this? You have persistent memories. One of the things that you might experience. So, have you heard someone, for instance, say they feel like they were born in the wrong era? I hear that a lot. I was born in the wrong time. I don't know what time people want to be born in. That's kind of the thing people say, which makes me kind of laugh a bit, because the era they reference they were very hard times. Even you go back into the 1800s, which is fairly recent. These are very hard times. They didn't even have toilet paper for a long time. That corn cob on a stick type of thing, man. If that's the way you want to get down, that's fine. But me personally, I like toilet paper. I like the new luxuries of mankind. I love the internet, man. This I'm happy in this reality. Was I born in a different time? I think I was in a lot of times. I had a psychic David who used to do the Kabbalah and make like a circle of letters and numbers. And you know, I think it was just letters actually. And then he would come up with all the different stuff. And he told me about my past lives and who I was. He said I was a woman, an Irish woman, in one of my past lives. I was killed because of my big mouth. The stoned. I said, "Are you sure that I wasn't just some stoned Irish woman?" I can. Oi! Just some stoned out Irish woman. Oh, you have a bit of the whiskey? Yeah, a little bit of bud. Oh my god. So yeah, I can see that big mouth killed. Yep. There's things that I can see that now, let alone then. But these are your traits that you have for maybe no good reason, and but they might exist because of that, right? All right. Let's see. When someone feels very strongly about they came from another era, a lot of psychologists interpret it as a possible sign of being connected to a former life. There you go. And these are psychologists. See, psychologists have to say stuff like that because they have no other answer. They have to kind of just link it. You can't just say weather balloon like the Air Force when it comes to UFOs. You have to have some kind of why. Why am I feeling this? A clinical hypotherapist says it's this characteristic is common with people that had past lives or sometimes many past lives. He described these feelings as persistent memories or intuitive feelings of being someone else somewhere else at another time. I'll tell you, man, you put your foot in that door, it takes a minute to get back out again. This can be accompanied by a physical manifestation like a birthmark that when looked at feel invoke some kind of memory. When I do paranormal investigations, with a group, we go into these places, and I kind of describe it as building a bridge, and it takes a few days to shake it off after you're done, but you really feel like you're connected, and then that's when you get the big evidence. That's when you get the conversation. That's when you get all the information that you're looking to gather, right? Just to throw that out there. So, how about you have unreasonable fears, right? Do you have any severe fears that just don't make sense? Dr. McGrail has had incredible experiences with patients who do and who have come to revelations about their previous lives. One woman he worked with developed an intense fear of death just because she looked up at the sky one day. In hypnotherapy, we did a past life regression, and she saw that she had been falsely accused of murder and sentenced to hang. Just before they put the hood over her head, she had looked up at the sky and saw the clouds. After that session, her fear was gone and she went back to her formerly happy life. Think of that. I think that if someone was going to hang me, they may as well just kill me right there, man. Like I'm going to fight to get out of there. They probably don't expect you to. I overthink, like, why would you kind of just go along merrily? Like, let me walk along. People are going to kill me. You know what I mean? Just die in combat. That's kind of the best way to go if you're going to go. If they're going to kill you anyway, you know what I mean? Or you might get a chance to get away. That's the best part of it. Kick the ass and get away, like some Ukrainian. Like, that's right. I'll kick your ass. Think you're going to be easy? You go make this easy? No. How about you get strange pains? If you had a physical pain that has bothered you for a decent part of your life, one that doctors don't seem to have an answer for, it could be a result of something that happened to you in another life. At least That's what hypnotherapists like Dr. McGrail think. Having a physical or emotional issue. It can be persistent or suddenly appear, a pain, a fear, a phobia, and it has no discernible origin. There's no cause from this lifetime of pain, and you don't know how it's happening or why it's happening. Many people the doctor has worked with has had unexplained anger issues, nothing violent or abusive from childhood, and their past life they were mean, violent people, warlords, dictators, etc. Mm, there's people like that out there, that's for sure. If you believe in reincarnation, you might also believe in ghosts and these chilling real ghost stories. Whoa. It's a link. It's a link. I'm not going to click on it though. How about you identify with another culture? The Francophile has an incredible passion for the French way of life and virtually anything French, but it is just a developed passion. Is it just a developed passion, or is it something deeper? That's something that you were born with. If someone is drawn to a certain location, culture, that might trigger a reason to want to explore a past life experience. They should seek out professionals who have experience guiding someone through it. You remember that detective? Who's that detective in Atlanta? Let me see. Who remembered his past life? He found himself at Gettysburg. I was just there recently. It's my halfway point from DC, kind of, sort of. Let's see. Here we go. No. No. I don't know. I'd guess at the time. Just thought it would come out easy. But you know what? We got to talk about it anyway. But so yeah, he was this detective from Atlanta who found himself, believe it or not, the same name, first name, last name. And then he had found a soldier that had died at Gettysburg and found his grave that they made for him. And even they found his picture. It looked like him. So, and this guy's a detective. This guy's coming out saying, hey, and he even said that, he didn't want to be like discredited as a detective or whatever, but he just had all this information. How much of it do you think is real and not real? I mean, come on. The guy had the feeling. He also had the sense to look. So, how about you have inexplicable skills? Child prodigies astound everyone around them. The question is, do they really have the innate talent to master the piano at the age of 6, or is it more than that? What about a kid who knows how to speak another language before they've even been taught a language? How come? What about these are huge? Well, these are huge indicators that there might be a hypnotherapist in their future who can illuminate perhaps their past lives. They may even have a skill or a trait, positive or negative, that is no obvious reason that they would have that. Yeah, like when I was 2 and started smoking cigarettes. You know what I mean? Pass me that Marlboro. Hmm. I actually did when I was like 8. Believe it or not, my father had a gas station, and I was forced to work there on weekends at a tender age, pumping gas in cars, harmful chemicals, man. And then he had a cigarette machine, and cigarettes were 45 cents a pack. That's how freaking old I am. 45 cents a pack. So the mechanics I thought were pretty cool. They were goofy. They were always smoking cigarettes and whatever. My father didn't smoke cigarettes. But so I bought a pack with my tip money, man. And then there was this park in my town called Candy Cane or Candyland Park, Rockville Center, Long Island. And I got a bunch of my friends together, and I was like, "Look what I have." They're like Marlboros. So there's like 6 of us, and then we all like light one, and light a couple, and kind of like look at each other like, "Hey, look, we're cool," because cigarettes were a big part of the culture back then. In the 70s, it was a huge deal. A lot of famous people smoked, and that kind of sold the cigarettes, and they even had ads with Santa Claus smoking cigarettes. So then my friend Chris's oldest sister Ingrid comes over. She's probably 5, 6 years older, in her mid teens, somewhere around there. And then she was like, "You're doing it wrong, stupid." Like, then she like takes a cigarette and shows us how to inhale and puff and all that. What a big sister's for. Anyway, yeah. If I have to show you how to do something like that. So I don't know. But those were like real cigarettes. They were actually made of like real materials, with the stuff they put in there now, the chemical additives and whatever. I'm not saying they were better for you. I'm just saying that they're different, and they're totally different now. Anyway, yep, cigarettes, bad habits. I'm an amazing shot with a gun. I mean, I can practically close my eyes and put the bullet where I want it to go. I've won competitions and stuff like that back when I was young. I was really into it. I had my first 22 when I was around that age, 8. My father gave me a Springfield 22. And this dude was from like New Mexico, grew up in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico. The people lived by the gun. They had guns in their vehicles and whatever. It wasn't like a thing. So on Long Island, it was a little different. Probably weren't a lot of 8-year-olds getting a 22. But, uh, but it was just a single shot little 22. I valued that thing. I cleaned it and was real cool. I don't know. But yeah, I can definitely put it where I want without any training. By the way, it wasn't like anybody showed me how to shoot. It was just hand-eye coordination and that type of thing. Yeah, some people can be really good at hand-eye coordination. Some people aren't. Does it mean anything? Military connection or whatever? Probably not. My love of military gear though, I don't have it anymore. Really, honestly, I don't have it anymore. There's not much of it left that I even care about. Now, the things that remind me of war are things that are negative, and it's not something that I want around. So there's also that. You know, I still like guns though. But okay, how about you have inexplicable knowledge, similar to having inexplicable skill is having that same level of knowledge. Several years ago, for instance, a story I had been told about a child remembering his former life pilot made headlines. The boy, we talked about earlier, James Langer, had intimate knowledge of not just the planes, but the names of one of the aircraft carriers and one of his co-pilots. So how is a little kid gonna know something like that, man? I mean, yeah, people can hoax things, of course, and do whatever, but this is a situation where the kid actually remembered who the heck he was. You don't want to make too much of a big deal out of that because then the government will follow you with their taxes, man. Like you can't take it with you, but you can definitely pay. You can definitely get a bill. Since you remembered your past life, the IRS is graciously allowing you to pay off the debt of your last past life, who was a deadbeat, and his funeral expense. Yeah. Okay. He cites knowing things about another time that ought to not be knowable, and that's basically a telltale sign. How about you have these recurring dreams, memories, and deja vu might occur when a person is awake. But again, I'm going to say deja vu is this is the same dude who wrote the outline about the deja vu. I'm not really big on that, man. I think that if you are dreaming about past lives, you definitely know that you've had one, or you have some kind of suspicions that you've had one. I don't know. I really want to talk about that Atlanta detective. Who I love the internet, man. It's cool. You know what I mean? Nothing better to bring truth around the world for people. I love the fact that people can really uh, really communicate with one another. There's so many people I've made friends with in other countries that I would never have been able to. But yeah, I can't find the stupid story, man. It's a really old story, and it's probably not easy to find. So Anyway, I'm gonna leave that there because there's you can't put in Atlanta and detective and it's just all kinds of homicide and whatever. What the hell's going on in the world, man? My God, a month ago we weren't really talking about World War III and all this stuff, and I think there's so much that people need to focus on and get away from. Just the images of all of it is going to give you PTSD if you watch enough children get killed. It's a terrible, terrible situation. So, and that negativity breeds other negativity. It just reeks of it. You know, there's nothing you personally can do to stop these things. The only thing you can do is be there for the ones around you. But reach into that past life. So, what's your problem in this life? Dick Sutphin said people have problems in this life that they carried on from their past lives. Eating disorders, other addictions, things like that. Fear, just like we talked about earlier, fear for no reason. Maybe you have a fear of heights for no reason, no good reason. A fear of water for no good reason. I mean, usually there's something that causes that at some point, and then you can kind of find some kind of conclusion. And it's also interesting when people do this past life regression, when they find out what the problem is, the problem it largely gets solved and it doesn't happen again. So I like it a lot. Anyway, I'm going to end the show on a high note. Oh, I will see you guys next week on Discovery Paranormal. Bye.